Good evening and welcome to the Board of Mayor and Alderman for August the 11th, 2020. Filling in for Mayor Wissenat tonight, and our prayers are certainly with him as he had to be away on this emergency for his family. We're going to ask Alderman Bryant to say our prayer, and we'll follow that with the pledge.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this time to come back and do the city's business. God, we just pray you be with us as we make our decisions. Pray, Lord, the decisions we would make for the city would always be a benefit for the city as a whole, God. It would never be for any personal reasons or any personal agendas. God, we just pray you be with our mayor tonight and with his family, with the loss in his family. Pray, God, you be with that family. Pray, Lord, you be with other families in their community that suffered loss in the past week, a few days. Lord, we just pray you be with pray, God, you be with all the emergency people that works, keeps us safe, all the city employees, all the county employees. Lord, we just pray you be with them. Take care of them, God. All the utility people, Lord, we just pray that you look over them. God, we just pray you continue to be with the healthcare workers as they're in this difficult situation. Pray, God, you be with our schools. Pray, Lord, you be with our students, our children, Lord. Pray, God, you be with all the administrators, all the teachers, all the employees that's working within the school systems to try to keep our children as safe as they possibly can. God, as we go forward in this meeting, Lord, we just pray that anything and everything that we would say and do would be in your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll adopt our agenda now. Are there any additions that need to be added? If not, it will stand as written. For our regular meetings for July the 14th, are there any corrections that need to be made to that? Then the minutes will stand as written. We'll go with our reports now, and tonight we have Fayetteville Main Street. We have a new president, Mr. Dale Pierce, is going to give us the report tonight. Welcome.
Never done this, and you're not going to make me go first. I appreciate it. I have some copies here. I'll give them to you whenever I'm done. As you know, last month we had a few more things happen. A few more folks resigned, but we have left a few folks that are willing to work hard. Miss Donna being one of them to bring this organization back up to par. Right now I am the president. Lauren Pig remains secretary, and Debbie Souter is the treasurer. Also in the last month, my wonderful wife has volunteered a lot of time in helping us deal with email communication, keeping track of all the vendors for First Friday, making sure that went off well, and I think that was a pretty good success last Friday. As far as expenses and reports and financials, we are working to get those things back in order. I think we're headed in a very good direction. Kind of got away from us for a year or more, and I think now we're working to find a good zero and work from there. Let's see. As far as getting a new director, we don't want to do that just yet. We want to make sure we get a good board, more board members. Right now there are 6, and that includes the city representative and the county representative. We'd like to get a good board together, rewrite our bylaws, make sure those are solid and something that can be built on for the future before we even consider getting a director. Hopefully that'll be working out pretty soon. Anything else? Y'all have any questions?
Are there any state consultants on board with you getting your bylaws written or anything?
We haven't gone over that yet. Our meeting is next Monday, and that's one thing we're gonna definitely discuss is how who and how, and we want to get that done. So that's something we're going to work on. Anything else?
Are there any questions?
I have a comment, not a question, but I would assume that in reworking the bylaws, I would think if there's any way anybody here at the city could help in any way, I would think it'd be more than willing to.
Okay.
So I don't know if they can or not, but they've got access to different MTAS and different people, you know.
Right.
I know that anybody here would be willing to do anything they can to help.
Awesome. Well, if that's possible, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
And I would just like to say too, that the regional director for Main Street, they have sent us sample bylaws. I know that Bill Newman and Mayor Michael Whitman have also looked at these bylaws and given us their input. So I think we're on a good direction of getting there. It's just a matter of us sitting down as a board. We have to get through First Friday, sitting down as
Right.
a board
Yeah.
and get this nailed down. So
Yeah.
we're coming along and it's looking really good.
Very well.
All right.
Thank you for your report.
Yes, thank you.
The next report is from Fayetteville Lincoln County Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Denton could not be here tonight, so she sent her report, and I will read it here as she has so graciously passed it on. The Chamber continues to participate in virtual meetings with Tennessee and U.S. Chambers, Department of Tourism, and ECD, Small Business Administration, and others to keep our members up to date on available funds and changes related to COVID-19. Through the Tennessee Business Relief Program, Governor Lee has directed the Tennessee Department of Revenue to issue approximately $200 million in business relief payments to reimburse more than 33,000 small businesses for costs incurred as a result of mandatory business closures. Eligibility notifications were sent to businesses beginning the last week of June through email or by letter. When businesses receive notification, they are prompted to complete an online pre-award certification form in order to verify their eligibility criteria and agree to the program's payment guidelines. Business owners who do not have online access have been asked to complete a paper certification form. Once the certification form has been completed and a business's eligibility is confirmed, the department will issue a business relief payment. For more information, there is a website that you can go to, and it's tentap.ten.gov/e-services. I'm sure you can call the chamber and get that address sent again. For the host of Christmas past, the Oversight Committee continues to watch guidelines for ERG and CDC mass gatherings or large community events. At this time, the 2020 festival will encourage shopping and dining on Friday, November the 13th, and include festival festivities with vendors and events on Saturday, the 14th. Of course, due to the uncertainty of the coming months, times and instructions may be modified as guidance and subject to change. The health and safety of our attendees may remain top priority and will be depending on everyone to follow the guidelines as of that date. The Governor's Volunteer Star Awards. Nominations for the 13th Annual Governor's Volunteer Star Awards are now being accepted for Lincoln County through the Chamber. The awards will celebrate the efforts of volunteers who strive to improve their communities through service. Volunteerism has always been a vital part of what makes Fayetteville Lincoln County a great place to live. If you know someone who has gone above and beyond to help others, especially during these days of looking out for each other, please take a moment to nominate them for the Governor's Volunteer Star Awards. One youth and one adult volunteer will be selected in Lincoln County. Selection is based on the community's need of the volunteer services performed, initiative taken to perform the service, and creativity used to solve a community problem and impact of the volunteer service on the community. You can contact the chambers for the nomination forms, and that is the report. If there's any questions or there's any thing that's not clear that I've read, please do contact the chamber so that you can get clarification for that. And I believe the number is 433-1234. We'll go to our standing committee reports now, and we'll have the fire department.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. For the month of July, the Fayetteville Fire Department had 1 apartment fire. Medical assist EMS was 6. Total EMS calls was 31, and motor vehicle accident with injuries were 3. That's a report for the Fayetteville Fire Department.
All right, and while you're here, we have the
While I'm
police
here.
department.
All right, for the Fayetteville Police Department, had 36 arrests, issued 14 citations, a total activity events of 1,455. That's my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Are
I
there
have
any
a couple
questions?
questions for the chief, please.
Sure.
Regarding the fire department. Can you please clarify to the public maybe some of the roles that you and Commander Templeton and Casillas are doing down there?
Sure. Commanders are really focused on operation, on the admin side, getting reports up. Within the department, there were some things in the past that was paper trail, which are no longer there. Some things were on the computer, but the paper trail has sort of disappeared. What we have done is put back in place and still working on getting all that in order. Also, we're working with MTAS and getting the operation policy in place.
Okay.
We're hoping to bring that to this board. I'm hoping next month, but don't hold me to that. We should be getting close between first of the next month.
And prior to Chief Baldwin being let go, was it anyone in the department that's ever been shown the responsibilities of running the fire department?
No, ma'am.
Okay. That's all I have.
Ready.
Richard, I've got a couple of comments here, if
Sure.
you don't mind. I noticed this came out of your work session, came out of the work session, I guess, and I noticed a training going on. It looks like 9 employees is training for EMR training.
EMR, Emergency Medical Response Training.
Right. Then you got a pump school set for September and October.
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Pump school. That way, what I'm trying to do, the goal is instead of having just a handful of certified pump operators that operate the fire truck, the whole objective is have all of them able and trained up to that level so anyone can jump up and run that pump. And if someone calls in sick, right now you have a limited availability of someone you can call. Once we get this up and going, we should have all of them to call.
So that is to run the
Fire truck, the pump on the truck.
fire truck. I see you've got 1 employee is set for inspector training. What is inspector training?
We'll do the codes enforcement for the fire side on all the new buildings. Right now we have 2. We have 1 captain that's going, I believe, in November. I believe is correct, and that'll give us 3.
And an
all 3 captains.
update on the equipment that had to be worked on, I believe.
Okay, engine 3 is up and repaired. It had a leak on the pump. It is up and repaired. We also had an oil leak on it that's up and repaired. Engine 2 had a malfunction on the pump. It is up and repaired and also has been back for a second time. Ladder 1, that's correction. Engine 1 still has to go to Nashville to be repaired. We have not done it. And the ladder truck, half the repairs have been made. All the parts were not ordered. There was a miscommunication between the inspection and what was on the paper. They had to go back and reorder that. Hopefully within the next week and a half, 2 weeks, have it completed.
It's operational though.
It is operational. And also rescue,
Okay.
the rescue truck is in Murfreesboro as we speak. I hope to get it back hopefully within the next 2 to 3 days.
What is a rescue truck?
The rescue truck is the truck that I believe over 7 counties
Okay.
in the district. It's a district truck. Everyone shares and uses. The light system on it malfunction, would not work.
Okay. All right. So we're slowly getting up to
getting there.
speed.
We're getting there.
All right. I guess the ladder truck, we only have 1 ladder truck, right?
One ladder truck.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Are there
Thank
any other questions?
Chief Howell, I have a question, or a request maybe. This week, we met with the firemen of the captains and the firemen on the 2nd and 3rd shift.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way that we can have the same type meeting with the captain and the firemen?
I believe that captain's already sent a request in,
Okay, good, good.
if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, great. So that way we can hear from them, just so it'd be fair across the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll hear from Ms. Rozelle now from the Finance Department.
Good evening. I would like to highlight a couple of our local taxes tonight. The first being our occupancy tax. This is a tax that is paid by visitors staying in our hotels and is restricted strictly for tourism use. We completed fiscal year 20 with a total of $96,595. And while this is $18,000 less than we received in fiscal year 2019, it's only $5,400 less than we had actually budgeted. And it's actually $2,275 more than we received in fiscal year 2018. The second one I wanted to highlight is our local option sales tax. Local option sales tax is the city's second highest revenue source, only behind property taxes. Our local option sales tax completed the year with a total of $2,680,000. And while this is almost $20,000 less than we had budgeted for fiscal year 2020, it's still $33,000 more than we had received in fiscal year 2019. In fact, 9 out of the 12 months, we received more than the same month in the previous year. And on that, we really want to give credit where credit's due, and that's to our citizens. So far, our revenues have not taken as hard of a hit from COVID-19 as many had feared, and we greatly appreciate our citizens continuing to spend their money here locally, and not only just supporting their local business, but through these taxes continuing to keep funding the city to allow us to continue to serve those citizens.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I will have one comment. Along about March is where March, April, May, and June was where the anticipation was that statewide that the revenues was going to go down, take a dip.
Yes, sir.
From March on, March, April, May, and June, our sales tax revenues every single month was more
Yes, sir.
than this time last year. So we didn't go down, we went up during this critical time.
Yes, sir. In June, it was almost $20,000 more than last year.
So you're right, our citizens is what pulled us out of this. It's not us, it's our citizens.
Yes, sir.
Shopping locally, spending money locally. But we're not out of the woods.
No, sir. Not yet.
We'll be facing this challenge going into the next budget year too, but this budget year came out a whole lot better than what we thought it was going to come out, so.
That's
Thank you.
plus.
I have one for you.
Okay.
It was brought to my attention that we're paying extra money to our police chief and then to commanders coming down the fire department.
That is correct.
Okay, we are not paying extra than what we are paying a chief to be in there, correct? They are getting extra money, but not additional money, like overtime money.
No, they are receiving additional funds, but
Correct.
those funds are already budgeted for because we already had a salary budgeted for a chief,
Right.
for a fire chief. So in the absence of a fire chief, a portion of those funds are being allocated to these 3 police department employees to assist in that role.
Therefore, it's not cost anybody
It's
any extra.
not costing anybody an extra dime that is not budgeted for them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rozelle. We'll hear from the Recreation Department now. Mr. Mitchell,
Vice Mayor, Mr. Mitchell's absent tonight.
okay?
He did share with me some information that's on your iPads. They're continuing to work with AYSO soccer in hopes of having a fall season, and also trying to stay caught up and make improvements on the routine maintenance. And also, he reached out last week on Wednesday, August 5th, asking for an update on the Fayetteville feasibility study. And with the board's permission, I'll just read verbatim the response from Kyle Dunn of HFR Design. Chris, thanks for being patient with us. I promised you that a group of us are Zoom meeting this afternoon to put the final touches on the study. We have to send it up to the lead company for final touches. That should go this week, then we can print and get it back to you. You have had the draft, and if you've read it, do you see anything that was left out? Even though it has been a long time getting it completed, we hope that it will be a benefit to the city, as Kyle Dunn and their company has recently merged with another company, and their name is now WOLD/HFR Design. That's the recreation report, Vice Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, Public Works, Mr. Plunkett.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The report that you have on your iPad with the trash numbers and brush numbers is incorrect. They had a internet line get cut going to the transfer station. Supposedly they got it fixed Friday, but Deidre's computer crashed Monday morning when she turned it on, so that's the best numbers I have at this time. 2nd Avenue, contractor has removed the existing tile, has it dug out, run into sewer, gas, and water. Scott said he was over this afternoon and water has been lowered, waiting on to get the gas done. And then they'll be ready to construct the bridge in there.
Will any of that work be hampered in any way by the rains we've had for the couple of days?
Yes, ma'am, it could.
Oh, it was hampered yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, they was working on the water line and, that rain moved in and of course it hit that drainage and it flooded them out and it took longer to get the water back on than they anticipated because of that situation. So that's the reason it took them longer than it planned.
So we'll have delays by the weather itself.
But they was notified, the school was notified that morning that they would be working on that water line.
I understand that. They done it late in the afternoon, didn't they, Dan?
They did. It started at 3 o'clock and it intended on being done by a certain, I believe it's 3 o'clock, but it started intended on being done by a certain time. That rain hit, of course, you know, these little flash floods, that's where that water goes to. So it did slow them down, but they did get everything back on, I think, last night.
Brookmead, the contractor is almost ready to pour the floor. Hopefully by the end of the week he'll have the floor, well, I call it the floor, it's the bridge deck that you drive across. Hope he'll have that poured by the end of the week. Laurel Drive, Hazel Engineering is the engineer on that project. I talked to him one day last week after we opened the project, or whatever you call it, request for proposal or qualifications.
Qualifications.
After we received those, I contacted the engineer that we selected, and he said within the next week or so he'll get started on that project engineering, and he's told me done talk to the surveyors, and he's moving on that already. And that's all I have unless y'all have any questions.
Well, I will say that we got these 3 going on right now, kind of, but that's not all that's going on. I think I counted up the other day. We got 9 projects at some phase. Has not been engineered yet, or is in engineering phase, or some phase. We got 9 projects, I think.
Yes, sir.
I know we got one on Mulberry Road. We got one 3rd Avenue, Franklin up here.
Swanson, Mars.
Swanson, Chestnut. So we do have several drainage issues we're dealing with citywide,
Yes, sir.
but we're getting there. We're getting
There's
there.
a lot, absolutely.
We're getting there. And I will say this also too, what we're primarily taking out, the city's taking out, is these metal tiles that's put in a lot of years ago. We're going back with concrete. So we're going back with a much better, something that'll be there. We won't have to worry about that metal rotting out, because all 3 of these right here is because the metal rotted out.
Over time, absolutely.
So we're going back with a whole lot better system.
That's all I got.
Anyone? Planning and codes, Ms. Christie?
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and good evening, everyone. 17 permits were issued in July. The total project valuation was $180,323. The total permit fees was $1,175. Ms. Lennis Hyde has logged approximately 450 property maintenance violations this year. We recently, in the last couple of weeks, went live with our Municity software, and so far she has logged 63 grass violations, 12 trash violations, 1 inoperable vehicle, and 3 sign violations. And that does not include all of the political signs that she worked with candidates and campaign managers to get into compliance. The 9 city-owned lots that are being sold was advertised in the first 2 August editions of the Elk Valley Times, and the signs have been placed on the lots to identify these properties. The bid openings are scheduled for August the 25th, And if anyone needs any information on these lots, they can contact our office. Ms. Lennis is also still working with residents on emergency home repair grant applications. She has helped 5 or 6 residents go through this process. So if anyone is needing help, she can help with that also. The ECD team, cruising preparations are underway. We have received our t-shirts, dash plaques, and posters. The event is scheduled for September the 12th from 4 to 7 p.m. We are continuing to monitor all CDC guidelines, and that event will adhere to those guidelines. Lennis Hyde and Miss Carolyn Denton and myself will begin the Retail Academy this Thursday and Friday. Our first project is due September the 1st, and we were awarded this $10,000 grant to go through this academy. The final public presentation of the Downtown Master Plan will be held here in the auditorium on September the 15th. More information will go out on the website, social media, and in the paper, and we hope that residents will come and help us with it. At this point, this is still a draft, so any input is still valid and before it's put into the implementation stage. For the Planning Commission, Ms. Sharon Armstrong with Plans and More, we will have our first work session this Thursday evening to update the subdivision regulations. This project will take approximately 6 to 8 months to complete. We are in desperate need to do this. It has been many years since this document has been updated. In the July Planning Commission meeting, a spec building project was approved on East Park Drive. That project will be with the Industrial Development Board. And we also, in the July meeting, decided to use Kevin Chastain with Griggs and Maloney to do our 4-hour continuing ed class. And that will be for the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals on August the 25th. And that's my report.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
City Administrator's report, Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Local Parks and Recreation Fund grant, the categorical exclusion has been completed and submitted to Department of Environment and Conservation, and that will allow us authorization to move to the final design phase. And also she has submitted a tentative schedule, and I'll just hit a couple of the highlights, but through August through October, they'll be revising the plans and submitting them for approval. Then October, they're scheduled to do the stormwater pollution prevention plan called an SWPPP. And then the final plan review will occur through October, December. We'll go to bid December to January, and notice to start construction should occur on or about late February or March. On Camp Blunt, the Phase 1 construction has been completed and final payment made out of the governor's allocation of the $500,000. Phase 2 is currently in progress with the pavilion pad scheduled to be poured in concrete tomorrow. And the statue of the 1st Tennessee volunteer, what will be the centerpiece of the state historic site, is on schedule, and the unveiling will be October 16th. Phase 2 and Phase 3 of the Greenway. Phase 2 is currently in the lab doing the results of the archaeology field study, which was completed a couple of weeks ago. They'll have to do an analysis and then submit that to TDOT, but so far preliminary reports indicate that it will move forward. Phase 3, they are in the NEPA phase, and just as a reminder, Phase 3 Greenway will pick up where the bridge comes over the river into Camp Blunt and go along the perimeter of the river to Walmart. Director Plunkett already touched on Brookmead and 2nd Avenue, and also he has lined up to have Washington and Elk repaired in the coming weeks. Vice Mayor, that's my report.
Are there any questions?
At the risk of being disappointed again, where are we on William D. Jones Boulevard?
William D. Jones, we had correspondence today, and we had to explain to TDOT. FPU submitted a letter to TDOT saying there's no conflicts with utilities. Well, they replied back they needed a letter from FPU saying there's no water conflicts. So we pointed out FPU, respectfully, we pointed out FPU's letterhead, which includes electricity, water, sewer, natural gas, and then the digital and internet. And I've not heard back since we corrected that oversight.
Thank you for that report, Mr. Collins. We don't have any unfinished business, and we'll go on to new business. We have a resolution, 2020-10, on the personnel policy that's been worked on since April of this year, and the administrative team has been with Mr. John Grubbs working on that diligently for overtime. We had a work session, so we'll entertain a motion for this resolution.
Motion to approve, Vice Mayor.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Is there any discussion?
I would like to say something, Vice Mayor. I did some, after our discussion in the work session on Thursday, I did some research, and according to Ken Blanchard, who is a speaker, leadership expert, and author of 65 books, including The 1 Minute Manager, he says that you need to include department heads in the personnel policy handbook to get a better result. What this does is it develops a mutual trust and respect. And this personnel policy, while we need it desperately, the last one was done in 2017, it has not been discussed, or the opinion of our department heads have not, they know nothing about it. It also says asking for input engages your department heads. Our department heads have become disengaged because they feel their opinions do not matter. They are leading the boots on the ground with the employees. They need to know how to carry this information forward to their employees, but if they don't know about the changes and the new policies, it's hard for them to explain to their employees. Asking for input also sets up a mutual two-way conversation. Communication is key when we're making these type changes that affect our employees probably for a long term. In the old days, leadership was regarded as from the top down. The assumption of that was that the leaders was the one with all the answers. In today's workplace, leadership is a side-by-side endeavor where the leaders and department heads work together for greater results. This inclusion creates connectivity and stimulates thinking. Asking for input also reduces miscommunication. I mean, this is a lot of change. This is affecting their lives. We do not want this to be miscommunicated. If leaders don't ask for input, they may be hurting the organization. I just think that we need to empower our department heads because they are a part of management. And for that, you know, I just think we need to rethink this. I don't know what the rush is. I don't know why we're rushing to pass this.
How many department heads do we have?
7.
How many?
7.
7. So how many has complained or felt like they've been left out of this process?
2.
Okay. We addressed part of this in a work session, and we was assured, I believe we was assured, that all the department heads would have a training. You would have a training session with all department heads to go through this personnel policy, to be sure, and also with any employees would need to be sure that they know exactly what this personnel policy is laying out, and that we would be sure that nobody's being left in the blind.
Yes, sir.
And you're pretty well assured of us that's going to happen, right?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
So the plan is to bring them together, whoever you need to, department heads, whoever you need to, and be sure that everyone understands.
And sir, may I expand?
You can do whatever you want to do. I'm asking you, yeah.
The misconception that the department heads were not provided an opportunity to have input is totally false. We had a department head meeting prior to it being presented to you all and asked for questions, asked for, one department head said he'd made some notes and our administrative team asked for the notes. They never were provided. So
Okay.
we did ask for input and had a discussion. They was all provided a draft copy. That's one of the reasons that the vehicle policy was omitted from the personnel policy. So yes, we had input from department heads.
Well, I know on my part of it, of course, I didn't have anything to do with putting this together. This is mainly, a lot of this is through MTAS, apparently. But I do know this. I know that when I first heard that there was going to be an update of the personnel policy, and I immediately contacted you, or I got with you, and I said, what's going on? And you assured me that whatever process we went through, that at whatever, some point, the board would have everything to look at in plenty of time.
Yes, sir.
And so what I did, I don't know what anybody else did, but y'all pretty well knew what I did. I wanted in plenty of time, I wanted every change that was made. I wanted the new policy beside that. I wanted to study them side by side. And I did. I spent a lot of hours studying them side by side. I saw some issues. I felt like was issues. When we had our meeting, our board meeting, the ones of us that came, only about 4 of us came, I believe. I think some was busy working, first one thing and another. We went through this step by step, a lot of steps. The issues that I had, Mr. Grubb addressed every one of them. And if I'm not mistaken, there is some changes made because of some of that we addressed.
Yes, sir.
So, as far as I'm concerned, what I know about it is that it's been really looked at really close. What concerns me a little bit is that if we got a couple of department heads we're having a problem with, but you had already sat down with them, you done gone through it before you brought it to us, 2 plus 2 is not adding up. Somehow or another, there's something not adding up here. I don't see any problem. I don't see any problem with dealing with this tonight. And I don't want to kick this thing down the road no further. We kicked too much stuff down the road.
Well, the board had the draft for the policy for about 4 weeks, and we were invited to send in any questions that we had to you, and I believe I contacted you for one that I had, and Mr. Grubbs answered that for me when he was here at the work session that we had, and I was satisfied with that. Is there any other discussion?
I mean, I feel good about everything as well, like we talked about in the work session. I think this board tried to be fair to the employees and to the city, and I mean, I work for somebody with a policy too, being with the bank. I have a board that sets that, and the CEO and the president. You can't go ask every employee what you want to do because everybody's going to have 50 ideas, and there has to be a point where you get a group together like you did. Get your heads together, figure out what's going to work, and then take those and go from there and bring it to the board. So I feel good with the way everything's gone, and I'm ready to vote it tonight too.
Well, Scott, on Thursday at the work session, you never mentioned that we had this very same discussion, and you never mentioned that you met with the department heads. You never mentioned that the department heads were taken care of. I think there's still questions out there that they are not clarified on this final, maybe on the draft, but not on this final proposal. So if we vote on it and then we come back later and, oh, well, this isn't right, or we've got to change this. I'd rather just have it right the first time than having to go back and make any changes or adjustments, because we didn't listen to some department heads or some concerns that they have. I don't think we should ask every employee, but I do think we should include the department heads as a matter of management.
My feelings are that we have a motion and a second, and that we move ahead with the vote tonight.
Mr. Collins, have you addressed a lot of the questions that the department heads had?
We have monthly department head meetings, sometimes twice a month. And we've had informal conversations. For example, they brought up adding nieces and nephews to the bereavement policy. We had conversations about that, so.
But the nieces and nephews was not in the old policy.
No, sir, and we did not present it for this one. There's other leave that can be taken.
Well, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Ms. Gentry?
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
No.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
I show that that's passed. Next, we'll go to the grinding contract, and that contract came forth from the street department, where two bids were received, if I'm not mistaken, for 20 ton, $20 a ton and $30 per ton. 34. And we were advised to take the $20 per ton. Okay, we need a motion for that, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Bryant, and second by Alderman Alder. Ms. Gentry?
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
To show that that's passed. Next is Till Everyone Knows for the month of September. We had the town turn teal last year at this time to show, make awareness of ovarian cancer. And the town was painted or over at the courthouse and about with teal ribbons in support of this effort here. So we need a motion for that, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Alder first and Ms. Allen for second. Ms. Gentry?
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
To show that that's passed. Next is the UDAG budget, and for the consultant agreement, Mrs. Christie had gone to the people that where we had the grant and to see if we could use these funds for economic development, and she received okay from the grant people that we were allowed to use these for any economic development that we have in her department. So we're here to vote tonight for those funds to be utilized for this project.
Could I make a request, please?
You sure can.
I'd like for Stacy to come back and explain these funds,
Please.
because the public needs to know that the type of funds these are.
Right.
Yes, sir, this is a urban development grant. And the best I could trace these funds back, they went back to 2010. I contacted the state multiple times to figure out if there were regulations on these UDAG funds, and UDAG doesn't even exist anymore. That's how old it is. And so they said that basically the best thing that we could do was follow them under the guidelines of the CDBG guidelines and just keep all of our documentation to prove exactly what we spend that money on within those guidelines that you see in Brooksy's email.
And the reason I asked her to do that,
I understand.
not trying to add anything to this, but
Right.
we had to have absolute certainty from the state that we could do this. Those funds is restricted.
Absolutely.
We can't just go out here and use them for anything. They're restricted. And we've not really hadn't been able to find anything to use them for.
That's correct.
I mean,
I had to do some digging to
we
find
had
out
to
that
do some
2010 was the last
So-
time that those came into us.
As we start investing this into the community, we don't need to have people thinking, oh, this is coming out of the general fund to pave the streets, this is coming out of the general fund, but do this, that, and another. No, it's not.
No,
It's coming out of a fund that we had to find some way that we could use this fund. It's over $400,000 total is what it is. Now, it's not anywhere near that, what we're looking at right now, the first step or two, but we had to find some way we could use these funds. So it's either use the funds for the good of the community or let them sit there and do nothing. And they've been doing nothing for 10 years.
Yes, and we're not
So-
even drawing good interest off of them at this point.
So this is a funding mechanism that's not going to hurt anybody.
No taxpayer dollars.
No,
correct?
well,
That's
no,
correct.
this is
Right.
state, this is state money. So I wanted to make that clear.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Did we get a motion and a second?
Motion to approve, Vice Mayor.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Allen motion, and second by Alderman Martinez. Ms. Gentry?
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Let's show that that passed. And lastly, here we have something pleasant. And this is a proclamation from Mr. Greg MacArthur. And I'd like to read it to you. Will we read it? We'll finish and then we'll give you the proclamation to take home with you. So I'll read it for you. This is a proclamation honoring Greg MacArthur. Whereas Gregory Michael MacArthur will be honored by his friends and family on the occasion of his 50th birthday on August the 15th of 2020. And whereas the city of Fayetteville recognizes the friendship and loyalty by Greg MacArthur, and whereas Greg MacArthur has been a faithful friend of all city of Fayetteville and Lincoln County employees for the past 25 years, and whereas Greg MacArthur was the Grand Marshal of the Fayetteville Christmas Parade in 2013, and whereas Greg MacArthur spreads joy and excitement throughout the city of Fayetteville Square each and every day, and whereas Greg MacArthur participates in all manner of downtown life, including the Slauberger Festival, cruising, the host of Christmas Past, and the Christmas Parade, and whereas Greg MacArthur contributes to his community daily as he lends a helping hand running errands, watering flowers, retrieving trash cans, and getting mail. And whereas Greg MacArthur is a passionate sports enthusiast, named Lincoln County High School's #1 fan and a devoted fan of the Dallas Cowboys. And whereas Greg MacArthur has earned the title of Fayetteville's friendliest and most distinguished citizen. And now therefore be it resolved by the authority vested in Mayor Wissenat of the city of Fayetteville that on August the 15th be deemed Gregory Michael MacArthur Day here in Fayetteville, Tennessee. Signed this 11th day of August in the year of 2020. Congratulations. Fantastic. Congratulations to you. Thank you.
Somebody get a picture now.
Happy birthday!
Okay, I believe that's all the business we have today. We'll go to our comments now. We'll start with you, Ms. Hartman.
I really don't have anything. It's just thinking about the kids going back to school. I know it's tough on the teachers, the administration, everyone with the COVID. The numbers are up and down all the time. So just think about what they're going through right now, and it's trying times, but let's all try to lend a helping hand when we can.
All right. Ms. Allen?
I want to congratulate Greg again. Happy 50th birthday. I also want to compliment the Fayetteville City School System. Dr. Hopkins, the administration, the teachers, the entire staff have done a wonderful job opening up the school. And as a staff member and a parent of children who attend the city school system, I feel they're safe as they could possibly be, and I appreciate all the hard work.
Alderman Allen.
Congratulations again to Greg. Appreciate what you do around town, making everybody feel good. And just to touch on what they said about the school system as well, talking to Alderman Allen tonight before the meeting, you could tell how genuine she was how everything is going really well. The students are trying to do what they need to do. The teachers and administration are doing what they need to do. So great job by everybody, and keep up the good work and stay safe.
Alderman Bryant?
Well, if we could all be a Greg, it would be a better world. Congratulations.
Okay. Alderman Martinez?
Congratulations again, Greg, and happy early 50th birthday. Thank you, Dale, for stepping up and being the first one at the meeting, first time to speak out. I want to thank the police and the commanders again for your hard work over the fire department. Thank you, fire department, for your continued teamwork through this process, and we hope that it gets worked out sometime soon. And that's all.
That it? I can only reiterate what everybody else has already said. Greg, great guy. Thank you all for your hard work, and we stand adjourned.